Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Unleash Your Pleasure. I'm so excited to introduce Linda Bloom to you today. Hi, Linda.
Hi, Sydney.
How are you?
Things are going really well. Got holiday spirit. Have a bunch of people coming to my house tomorrow. We're going to be COVID safe, but I'm happy that people are going to risk it, and we're going to have a little gathering to get the new year off on a good foot.
You bet. I'm so excited for you. Before we jump in, everyone, we're here again to help. I'm putting on this show. As you know me, I'm Sydney. I'm the host of Unleash Your Pleasure. And this show is all about how to help you create an awesome, out of this world sex life. So I'm excited to have Linda here. She has so many wonderful things to share with you today. Before we jump in, I'm just going to read her bio to give you a little bit of a background about who she is. So Linda Bloom is a licensed clinical social worker who has served as a psychotherapist and seminar leader practicing relationship counseling for 40 years. Oh my goodness. She's a regular presenter at Escalin Institute and Kripalu. She has spoken at several conferences sponsored by the International Transpersonal Association, the Association for Transpersonal Psychology, and the Northern California Mindfulness Institute. I lost my spot. Oh, there she is. Sorry, everyone. She is a co-author with Charlie Bloom of 101 Things I Wish I Knew When I Got Married, Simple Lessons to Make Love Last, Secrets of Great Marriages, Real Truth from Real Couples About Lasting Love, and Happily Ever After, and 39 other myths about love and that which doesn't kill us, how one couple became stronger at the broken places. Oh my gosh, awesome. Visit her website at www.bloomwork.com. Oh my gosh, you're a book machine.
We enjoy the process.
I love it. So Linda, to start us off, just before we hit record here, we were talking about how sex is just good for your overall well-being. Do we want to jump into that right off the bat?
Sure thing. Sex is so good for us. It's a cardiovascular workout. It blows oxygen to the brain. It's an analgesic, which means that if we've got cramps or a sore this or that, when we're sexually aroused, the pain might not go away completely, but it's markedly reduced. It's an amnesic. So when we're very riveted on our sexual pleasure in our body, we forget while we're angry at our partner and what annoys us about them. It's also really good for our general well-being. There's all of these hormones, not the least of which is oxytocin, which really is a feel-good hormone. That's the hormone that's released when women are breastfeeding babies that helps them to bond with the child. It is released with touch. It's released with caresses. It's released with kisses, and you get a plentiful flow of oxytocin when you have an orgasm. And so these feel-good hormones is a love cocktail where our body is bathed in them, and it increases our health and our longevity. So I think that people who really pay attention to all the benefits that they get from being sexually awake and aware and fulfilled, it is so good for us in so many ways, not the least of which is such a handy way to show love, to bring pleasure to each other's bodies. And that relaxation, contentment, feeling of safety and security when you're bonded with another person with this nice sexual gift of Mother Nature, then they want to put time and effort to making their sexual relationship the best that it can be.
Definitely, like making it a priority, just like, the other things in people's lives that they prioritize, like making sex one of those things too. It sounds like that's really important.
Very important. And a lot of people prioritize their work. We live in a very highly materialistic society, competitive, where success is defined as money, power, influence, rather than joy and well-being and the depth of our relationships with the people who mean the most to us, not just our lover or our partner, but also our family and friends, our children, our family of choice. If we don't have family that we're real close to, that we need to find our friends to be our family. And when people are aware of how strong the influence of the culture is, they're not so at the mercy of the effects of it, and they can make the decisions that really work for them. And if you watch from your own experience about where you get the biggest bang for your buck, you know, where you get your joy jolt, the positive psychology people call it the joy jolt, where you get your uplift to well-being, it's with your closest relationships, that emotional intimacy exchange, and particularly the sensual and sexual intimacy exchange. And I think when people have that, they don't have to be running after the material things so much.
Yeah, definitely. It is interesting, yeah, how much our culture influences our behavior, our attitudes, our beliefs, especially around sexuality.
The other place where people put a lot of time and their attention, if they have children, of course, children need a lot of our time and attention. But sometimes they're prioritized so much that the romantic partnership gets the leftovers. And I think that's so sad, because those kids grow up and they leave home, and then you're left. Then you're left with your partner, and you still got, you know, decades of living to do. So not to neglect our children. Of course, we want to cherish and honor our children and give them the best possible start in life. But I'm a strong believer that one of the greatest gifts that we give our children is a model of a working partnership. Two parents who love and adore each other and are really turned on. Do you know, and when that partner walks into the room lights up, and the kids get to bask in the love and appreciation that the parents have for each other. So I say, keep that sexual flame burning over the decades.
Yes, and I'm sure some people are curious, how does one do that? Like, I know everyone has different sexual preferences and this and that, but what are some of your suggestions in order to help people in those situations? Because life does get in the way, and like you said, like children, pets, family, it's all very demanding of our time and attention. So how do we prioritize sex amongst all of that?
It's a decision, and we make it on a regular basis, not to put it in the low priority category. Shove it up to near the top of the list frequently, and to take the time to get in the mood, to pick the time of day. We're not always late at night when we're so tired, you know, that we don't have too much to devote to it. I myself am very fond of sex in the afternoon when my energy is strong. And, you know, that doesn't preclude morning sex or late night sex, but if you really want to give your best energy, you look and see when your best energy is available. So, you know, people have work commitments and they need to get the kids off to school and but to designate time and to draw boundaries around it. Maybe you teach the children not to knock on the door, talk to you through the door, that they can respect that boundary. Maybe you get a sitter, maybe you have a friend, maybe they take the children to the park or play at their home, and you have some time that is sacred time for sex and an abundant amount of time. And it's very important to keep all of the issues of the relationship handled, to not allow the incompletions to mount up, because they can clog up the channel, do you know, where you need a free-flowing exchange of energy. So I always think, you know, handling differences well and being a master in conflict management really is an aphrodisiac, because you don't want any resentments, grudges, disappointments, you know, unfulfilled needs. And you need to keep those lines of communication open.
Yeah, so important, because if we're like, if our partner's doing something that's like pissing us off on the regular, but we're not saying anything, it's just building, building, building. And that doesn't want to make us like connect with them sexually. So it's like,
It's not sexy.
it's not about the sex. It's about like, buddy leaves his socks everywhere or something like.
Yeah. So, I'm a believer that foreplay is everything that went on from the last time you had sex to this time. So it all counts. How
Yeah.
kind you are with each other, how generous you are with each other, how much you show up with each other and for each other to make each other's life a little easier and a little sweeter. It all counts.
I love that. So true. So true. And so, Linda, you're telling me the other day about the different kinds of sex. I would love for you to like share that with the audience.
Well, thanks for asking, because it's been in the literature for a long, long time about the sexual high desire person partnered up with the sexual low desire person, and how it's lessons in patience for the high desire person, but it's lessons in generosity for the low desire person, for them to have a fulfilling sexual relationship. So one person's not feeling put upon and the other person's feeling deprived. But what you don't hear is that there are differences not in just the frequency desire, there's nuances about the kind of sex that people want to have. And they often don't have a full enough, robust conversation about what really lights them up. That's why I always encourage my clients and my students to come forward with their fantasy life, because you'll get some real clues. What you're dreaming about and what you're longing for is the kind of sex that you want to have. And some people are really closeted about their fantasies. I think that's a shame. But when we teach our workshop, Love, Sex, and Intimacy, we have an exercise, and I tell them about the 5 different kinds of sex in kind of a playful way. And then they narrow down to what their favorite is, which their partner might not know.
Yeah.
So the first one is junk food. And that's quickies, and they have their place. And some people love quickies and they're very satisfied with quickies, and other people say not very nutritious for me, but they'll stretch into their partner's world if their partner wants a quickie. Now, I think junk food has kind of pejorative reputation, but I love Mars bars. I like Chunkies. I like Baby Ruths. I like chips, and it's junky, but I eat them once in a while just for the fun of it. So that I think quickies have their place.
Totally.
And tell the truth. If you like them, tell the truth that you like some sometime, and your partner might be a happy camper to do it. Not a steady diet of Mars bars and chips. Next would be the general fare, the maintenance. And most people, this is the kind of sex they have. It's usually in the bed, and they know the positions that they can count on. And it's kind of no frills. They know how to have nourishing meat and potatoes. If you're a vegetarian and meat and potato turn you off, we call that tofu and sprouts. And so that's just the regular fare. And it's nourishing, but it gets boring if that's all you have. Yeah. So the next one we refer to as gourmet dining. This is soup to nuts. This is the heart talk. Maybe there's a massage for her and then a massage for him. Maybe you read poetry to each other. There's all kinds of things when you have gourmet dining. It's also sometimes referred to as romantic sex. Sometimes people only do this on special occasions, like their birthday or their wedding anniversary, or when they're on vacation. I think that's a shame, because if gourmet dining is your favorite, you should enjoy it frequently.
Yeah.
All the trimmings, and let your partner know what the trimmings are that really mean something to you. If you want them to massage your feet, tell them. If
Yeah.
you want to have eye contact with you for an extended period of time, tell them. If you want to have beautiful music, you know, my
Mm.
husband plays guitar once in a while. He'll sing a song just for me. That really lights me up.
Yeah.
Okay, next is hot chili peppers.
Amazing.
Some people like hot chili peppers, and
Mm.
some people feel like it's too kinky,
Mm.
but two consenting adults, if you've got an idea in your mind that you'd like to be tied up with silk scarves to the bedposts and kissed all over, okay,
Mm-hmm.
go public with your prayer to your partner and tell them the truth. If you'd like to experiment with a little S&M, maybe some light spanking, maybe a little heavier spanking, maybe you could tell the truth about that. If you want to role play, do you know that you meet at a bar somewhere and you practice picking each other up? Do you know, as if you've never known each other before?
That sounds fun.
Novelty. All the couples who've been together for many decades, who romance is still strong, they all say the same thing about adventure and novelty. You have to be willing to risk.
Mm.
Yeah. So, some of this stuff, playing with toys, going to the sex shop and picking out your favorite toys, is a little edgy for a lot of people. They believe that everybody else is doing the edgy stuff and having a great time in bed, and they're the only duds. But the research shows that most people are really inhibited about experimenting, even with toys, role playing, and a little edgy stuff. But that can really keep your relationship sparkling over time when you're willing to be creative that way. Last but not least is ambrosia,
Dessert.
nectar of the gods and goddesses.
Mm.
And this is tantric sex.
Mm.
This has been around for thousands of years. And it's a very sacred and spiritual form of being lovers with each other as a way to go towards enlightenment.
Beautiful.
And there's so many beautiful tantric practices, soul gazing, chanting together, breathing together, full body caresses, sacred spot massage for her and for him, which is internal massage, and using prayer as part of your sexual experience. So for those listeners who haven't read the books on Tantra or taken a Tantra workshop or finding a Tantric counselor, that can really be a big boost to keeping the sexual part of your life humming for a long time. So when people see me and they see my husband, his hair's all white too. We're both 75 years old. Most people don't have the guts to say, is sex still hot with you guys? Or does it peter out over time? And I'm here to announce the good news that to keep your relationship in good shape, sex can still be plenty hot. Even if you've had a monogamous relationship with somebody for 50 years, I'm here to testify. But you need to keep the overall relationship in good shape, keep your body in good shape, and make it a priority in your life and be adventuresome and have all 5 kinds.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you laid all those out, because if you're in partnership or, casually having sex with somebody, you can sort of ask them about what kind they like, or like how often they want to, I don't know, have dessert or something. Like really having that conversation around those things is really helpful to just feel out where people are at and what they want. And it really comes down to that communication piece.
It is very important, the communication piece. It's also having good communication with yourself.
Yes.
Knowing what you like. Growing as an individual so that you feel enough self-worth to actually ask for what you want. And that can be a big piece of work for a lot of people. A lot of people come to adulthood and they have all kinds of traumas in their history. Maybe they didn't, grow up in family charming. Some people have sexual abuse, incest, rapes in their history. Sometimes it was just lover handling them roughly, do you know? And I believe that people need a wider definition of what lovemaking is. And that if you're involved in a lovemaking situation and you have a flashback to some unhappy memory, to have an agreement with your partner that you could pause and you could speak about that. That could be very intimate, relating, and healing, which doesn't mean that the sex has to stop permanently. It just means that you make room for the things that come up when you're making love. Because when you really open up and you really open up your body and you really open up your heart, sometimes it's not all beautiful. Sometimes there's some shadowy things that present themselves. And I think when people make room for more and they don't define sexuality too narrowly, foreplay, intercourse, orgasm, it's too small. That has place. But the more expansive sexual interchange, I think, can be really magnificent for people in their sense of their self, making room for, some things that are fabulous and some things are not. It's a package plan. You have to make room for the dark shadow, for the golden shadow to shine through.
Yes, totally. And that just brings me back to when you were talking about romantic sex. It's like, it doesn't have to just be like intercourse, penetration. It's like a whole experience. You can bring in sensuality, like really like setting your environment to make it like really pleasurable on all levels. Like, to me, that's just like in connection to what you were just chatting about. It's more than just, like you said, foreplay, sex, orgasm. Like, it can be so much more than that.
You're absolutely right. And setting the bedroom with candles, having silky materials around, maybe furs, to wake up the whole body, the skin, and music, and to take plenty of time to look at each other. Sometimes people have inhibitions, they think their weight, they're too skinny, their breasts are too small, their breasts are too big, or their breasts sag down, and men have issues about their penis size. And when somebody looks at you with appreciation and you feel comfortable being seen by them. I recently read an article that upset me, that it was a piece of research that only 18% of men feel that their partners find them sexy. That's not very many.
No, that's surprising.
And some of those partners, I think, do find the men sexy, but they don't say so.
Right.
So the men have, this doubt in the mind. And so I think it's important to find the words. I find your body beautiful. I find you sexy. I desire you. That's music to people's ears. We want to feel that we're attractive and that we're wanted.
We certainly do, because I even know from my own past relationship, when you catch someone looking at you like they just freaking adore you, it's like, it just really lights you up. Like, I don't know, you can be like eye flirting across the room or something. Like, it just like makes you feel good.
It makes you feel really good. And it makes you feel so great that it has spillover effect to other parts of our life.
Totally.
It gives us confidence in our parenting. It gives us confidence to negotiate contracts. It gives us confidence to strive in our risk in our careers, because we have the lover's relationship to come back to as a safe haven. Because it
Yeah.
can be really challenging out there in the world sometimes.
Oh yeah. You are not wrong about that. Uh, Linda, I'm curious about something because you talked about it a little bit, is like being open about your fantasies, because that's really scary for some people. So what can you suggest to someone feeling like, oh, I want to try this or like explore this with my partner, but like I'm afraid to say it? What would you say to that person?
I find this in counseling that I ask them to tell me their worst case scenario. I think this would end the relationship. They would think that I'm just too kinky and too weird and too needy or too something or too little or too much of something, and to play it out. And how likely is that really to happen? Do you think that's really going to happen? Are you not giving the relationship enough credit? How long have you been together? Have you built a foundation of trust? Are you generally honest with each other about other things? Do you have a policy of full disclosure? And once they see that it's their fear in the mind that's spinning a catastrophe, and I can't guarantee them, it definitely is not going to happen, but most of the things that people are really afraid of in that area, they never happen. But you may want to have a preliminary conversation before you reveal what you think is too kinky a fantasy.
Right.
And let the partner know that there's something that's been laying on your heart and that you'd like to talk to them about it. And it feels really risky. And all you want them to do is listen. They don't have to change any behavior. They just want to hear you out. And that you would appreciate it if they could stay out of judgment about you, because you're afraid that they're going to judge you harshly and think that you're really screwed up.
Yeah.
And once they hear some kind of reassurance from their partner, oh, honey, don't worry about that. I have kinky fantasies too. How about I go first? You know, that's
We all have them.
pave the way. Because I'm a big fan of full disclosure, because I've worked in the field of couples counseling, being able to tell the not good relationships from the good ones and the good ones from the great ones, that the great ones disclose more. They're transparent. They don't withhold. If they're upset, they tell. If they have some sexual desire, they're honest about it. We don't always get what we want when we speak openly and risk, but it increases the chances that we might. And so sometimes you have to set the stage, make a foundation for truth telling of that magnitude. But sometimes people bring their deepest, darkest fantasies out, and they've been worried about it for months, sometimes years. And then the partner says, is that it? Been worried about all this time? No, I think that's a good idea. Let's try it right now.
Yeah. Then you could ask people, okay, what would the best case scenario be?
The best case scenario is the other partner says, I've never thought of that, but that's a good idea. I think we should definitely try that.
Amazing. Well, thank you for sharing that. Because I feel like, there's so much shame around sexuality for a lot of people. So getting comfortable expressing our needs and wants is such a big part of like opening up pleasure and connection in that area, I think. So
it is.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we're already like pretty much out of time, but Linda, I would love for you to share your free gift with the audience.
Well, when people give us their email address, they'll be able to go to our website, and we have 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 free ebooks. And one of them is about having great sex. Yes. The other one is 10 chapters of our book that's coming out next year. That's about conflict management, an end to arguing.
Nice.
And the third one is excerpted from our very first book that you mentioned in the introduction, 101 Things I Wish I Knew Before I Got Married. And these are the 10 most important things that my husband and I learned well into our marriage that we wish we had some wise person to tell us early. Maybe we wouldn't have paid attention when we were so young and dumb, but we were trying to save some, young couples starting out with having some wise, experienced elders hand down some practical wisdom to them to save them some trouble so they can have more fun, better sex, less arguments, and more fulfillment earlier than we did, because we had a long learning curve till we could learn how to be together with a lot of harmony and cooperation and co-creativity, which we've really been enjoying recently, but we had some rough spots in the early part of our relationship.
And everyone does. I think
Everyone does.
you can't avoid it. Well, thank you so much for generously sharing those gifts. Like, I know I'm gonna read those, and just like I hope the audience does too, because Linda has years of experience pulling from her own personal relationship, working with different people across her career. Like, she has so much value to share with you all. So thank you for those really generous gifts.
And you're very welcome. And thank you for the work that you're doing to have more people having more sexual pleasure in their life, because it really lights the life up.
It totally does. It's a big part of our health and well-being, like we started off talking about at the beginning. So yeah, we're all part of this awesome mission. Well, thank you so much for being here, Linda. This has been an amazing chat, and I'm just so grateful to have you on the show.
Well, we did it.
We sure did. Thank you for being here. And thank you so much to the audience. The show wouldn't be what it is without you. So I appreciate you being here. Hope this has helped, and sending you all the love. And I'm excited for you to see the next speaker who will be sharing their wisdom on how to help you unleash your pleasure. Bye for now, everyone.